How many times did they actually, drop the ball and didn't call stuff against Caitlin? Now, Caitlin got called for a technical for hitting the back of the backboard. But somebody viciously clotheslined her.
WNBA refs are back at it again, proving they've got Caitlin Clark on their most wanted list. At this point, they might as well slap a bounty on her jersey. Did she personally offend them? Steal their lunch money? Because the way they're calling games against the Fever is starting to look like a full-blown federal investigation. Another game, another set of highly questionable calls, and fans are fed up. Is this just incompetence or something much worse? Buckle up, because we're diving into the latest WNBA referee disaster, and this one is downright embarrassing.
I don't want to see none of the calls being missed like we seen last year, bro. These referees have to get it together. Now, we know the Indiana Fever front office did everything they had to do, put the right pieces around Caitlin Clark, make sure they make it far in the playoffs, and possibly get a WNBA championship. Well, that part is done. We got a new team. We got a new coach. They got everything they need to do to take off for the 2025 season. The only thing left is these WNBA referees. This need to be talked about, just like it was supposed to be getting talked about at the conclusion of that season. And I'm back on a bumper, bro. I am not letting up on them damn WNBA referees, because they are the biggest haters when it comes.
The WNBA refs really thought they had us fooled. They must have gone home every night after botching calls on Caitlin Clark, kicked back with their feet up and said, "Yep, another flawless performance." Because clearly, reality and whatever alternate universe these refs live in are two entirely different things.
They need to be investigated ASAP. We see what's happening with Caitlin Clark. There's no reason you shouldn't be protecting your star player, because without Caitlin Clark, there won't be no sold-out arenas.
Imagine being so dedicated to not doing your job that you become the main character of every game you officiate. That's right, the players? Mere extras. The fans? Background noise. But the refs? Oh, they were out there starring in their own tragic comedy, where the plot twist was always, oops, looks like we forgot to call yet another foul on Caitlin Clark. And the best part? They somehow managed to officiate games with the consistency of a magic 8 ball. Other players could get brushed by a gentle breeze, and suddenly it's a free trip to the line. But Caitlin? She could be getting suplexed mid-dribble, and the refs would just stare blankly, as if personal fouls were just a suggestion. Like speed limits in the Fast and Furious movies. It was almost impressive, the sheer level of commitment to not seeing things. A defender could slap Caitlin's arm so hard it echoed into the next zip code, and the refs would respond with the good old play-on gesture, as if she had just tripped over an invisible shoelace. Meanwhile, let someone look at a different star player the wrong way, and boom, whistle, free throws, and probably a complimentary apology for the inconvenience.
The viewership on TV would not be like it is now, where everybody's watching it because it's must-watch TV. But we are seeing how she's being treated. She's being pushed around, she's being slapped around, sometimes she's being punched around, and the fouls just keep getting harder and harder.
And then there were those glorious moments when Caitlin would give them the classic, "Are you serious?" look. You know, the one where her hands go up in disbelief and the refs suddenly remember they have somewhere else to be, probably an important meeting about how to avoid calling obvious fouls in the future. Maybe even a seminar on how to pretend you didn't see that. But let's be real. The real MVPs here were the commentators who had to somehow make sense of it all. Well, there was a lot of contact there, but I guess the refs didn't see it. Oh, they saw it. They just decided Caitlin must have some superhuman ability to absorb fouls like a sponge and keep going. It's almost as if the refs thought she was the problem. How dare she expect fair officiating? How dare she play aggressively and not just settle for jump shots like a proper player? Maybe if she just flopped like a soccer player in extra time, they'd finally start noticing.
We saw the play in the third quarter where Carter kind of decked you. Mm-hmm. How do you respond to that and stay within yourself?
I feel like I'm just at the point where you accept it and don't retaliate. Like, just let them hit you, be what it is. Don't let it get inside your head and know it's coming. I think at this point, I know I'm going to take a couple hard shots a game. It is what it is, I guess. I don't know.
Now let's talk about the same folks who seemingly took a vow to ensure Caitlin Clark's rookie season feels less like a basketball experience and more like a season-long episode of Survivor WNBA Edition. Their latest masterpiece? turning a blind eye to Dejanai Carrington's now iconic eye poke, because apparently, if you're a ref in this league, you operate under the same principles as a 19th century pirate. If it's not directly in your line of vision, it never happened. Let's not pretend this was just an innocent missed call. No, this was a full-fledged whoops. Our whistles only work against Clark moment. The footage is there, clear as day. Dejanai Carrington extends that arm like she's trying to check Caitlin's pupil dilation with her fingernails, and the referees? Absolute silence. They had the perfect angle, the perfect opportunity to step in, and they chose to do what they do best. Absolutely nothing.
In pain after she caught that fingertip in the eye or right around it from Carrington with no whistle.
And now, after a season filled with questionable, and by questionable we mean absolutely ridiculous calls, these same referees are under investigation. Shocking. Who could have ever seen this coming? Oh, that's right. Everyone with functioning eyes who's been watching the games. Now, the league is in evaluation mode, which is just corporate jargon for, we need to pretend to care until the off-season distraction machine kicks in. But let's get real. We all know how this ends. A few months of internal review, a couple of vague press releases, and boom. Next season, we get the same referees, except now they have new strategies to make it even less obvious when they're working against Clark. Maybe next time, instead of ignoring blatant fouls, they'll start calling technicals on her for daring to exist on a basketball court. Oh wait, that already happened, didn't it?
And the fouls just keep getting harder and harder. When are the refs going to do their job? As a matter of fact, when is the WNBA going to do their job? Because there should be some suspensions, check. There should be some fines, check. And you should be setting an example for your star player. Because God forbid this young lady gets hurt.
Let's take a moment to appreciate just how efficient these referees have been at their real job, keeping Caitlin Clark from ever having a fair game. Whether it's swallowing the whistle when she gets hacked or suddenly turning into the most detail-oriented officials in the world when it's time to call her for the slightest infraction. These refs have put on a masterclass in selective vision. If only they applied that same level of scrutiny to everyone else. Now, as the WNBA tries to figure out which of these referees will be determined for next season, one has to wonder, what exactly are the qualifications here? Because if consistently making atrocious calls that defy logic and common sense is part of the job description, then congratulations, they've all earned contract extensions.
You have to be great as a ref. You have to be consistent. You have to. It can't be inconsistent. It can't be AAU refs.
Imagine playing a game where the rules don't really matter, where you can get hacked, shoved, and practically body slammed, and the people in charge just stand there like they're watching clouds float by. Welcome to the WNBA, where the refs apparently took an oath to see no evil, hear no evil. Especially when it comes to Caitlin Clark getting fouled. You'd think in a professional basketball league, officiating would be a well-oiled machine, but no. This is more like a group project where everyone agreed to do their part and then the refs just ghosted. The ball tips off, Clark gets hit with more contact than a bumper car, and the whistle? Oh, it must have gotten lost in the mail. Maybe it's on back order. Maybe it's locked away in some NBA vault because clearly it doesn't exist in a WNBA game when Clark is on the floor. Then, after an entire game of Kennedy Carter treating Clark like a crash test dummy, the league suddenly wakes up and decides, oh wow, maybe that should have been a flagrant. Oh really? You don't say. Took you an entire post-game review session to figure out what literally every single person watching the game saw in real time? I mean, the broadcast cameras caught it. The slow-motion replays caught it. A dude watching from his phone in a gas station caught it. But somehow, the officials on the actual court missed it. Incredible.
Mabry doubled off to Carter. Her jumper is good. Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench.
And let's talk about the timing. This isn't just a bad call, it's an artistic masterpiece of incompetence. Like, imagine robbing a bank in broad daylight, security footage everywhere, and the police don't even show up until a week later like, hey, we just realized something illegal might have happened here. That's the WNBA referees in a nutshell. They had one job and they didn't just fail. They redefined failure. They made it a performance art. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is out there practically auditioning for a WWE contract with the way she's getting thrown around. If she wanted this kind of physicality, she could have just tried out for the NFL. At this point, the refs might as well be handing out folding chairs instead of whistles. At least then, we'd know they were committed to the whole let 'em fight strategy. And of course, the internet exploded. People are out here breaking down footage like it's the Zapruder film, trying to understand how an entire team of professional referees could miss what's painfully obvious to every casual fan. But hey, maybe they were too busy admiring the court design. Maybe they were checking their phones. Or maybe, just maybe, they're following some sort of secret Ignore Caitlin Clark handbook passed around in referee meetings like it's classified intelligence. Whatever the case, the damage is done. The flagrant gets called way after the fact, when it doesn't even matter anymore. And Clark? She's just out there taking elbows like it's a combat sport. Oh wait, apparently, in the WNBA, it's actually a combat sport according to Natasha Cloud.
It almost felt like marketers were trying to figure out, like, yeah, we have all of these amazing players and these amazing personalities, but can we push the demographic? And then when Caitlin Clark got to the league, the Angel Reeses got to the league, and they might have been fouled hard. The same thing I saw happen with Shamika Holdsclaw, though.
You see when I took knocked out?
Yeah,
Rookie season, Jewel Lloyd spun into, oh, the vets hate the rookies hate the vets are going after certain players. It's all bullshit. Like, if I'm just gonna be frank, it's all bullshit. What it is racism, right? It gets blown up into, oh, they're going after Caitlin Clark, but
Another WNBA season is upon us, which means one thing. The referees have had an entire offseason to learn absolutely nothing. But this time, oh, they're in for a treat. Because not only is Caitlin Clark back, but she's bigger, stronger, and ready to bulldoze through defenders like a runaway train. And this time, she's got backup. Sophie Cunningham, the enforcer nobody saw coming, but exactly what Indiana needed. Last season, watching Clark get hacked with no whistle was basically a tradition. Opponents treated her like a piñata, and the refs acted like they had a do not disturb sign hanging around their necks. But this year? Oh, it's different. Sophie Cunningham has arrived with a personal mission, making sure Clark doesn't have to file a police report after every game. You foul Clark? Guess what? Sophie's fouling you back. Hard. She's not here to play buddy-buddy. She's here to make sure opponents think twice before they try their best WWE moves on Clark.
Sophie Cunningham here. I'm finally in Indiana, and I am so excited to be here and meet all of you. See you guys at the game. Bye.
I learned a lot out there, but now I'm ready to move on to something bigger, something better, and have a lot of really great players around me to, seriously go win a championship.
How impactful will it be for you and your family to be back here in the Midwest, something that Caitlin had as well, and within driving distance for everyone, right?
I love it. My roots are here in the Midwest, and just to be closer to home. My sister is married and has a kid, has another one on the way, and family is everything to me. I have a really great support system, and you better believe I've already had over 100, 200 people reach out, hey, how do we get season tickets? I was like, I have no idea. I just got traded 2 hours ago.
And speaking of Caitlin Clark, let's talk about that insane off-season transformation. Last year, she was already torching teams with her ridiculous shooting range, draining threes from distances that should require a passport. But this season, she's added some serious muscle to her game. If defenders thought they could just shove her around like last year, they're about to be in for a rude awakening. Clark clearly spent the offseason in full beast mode, hitting the gym, lifting, eating, and possibly bench pressing referees just to prepare for the physicality. And let's be honest, someone had to do it. No more getting bodied in the paint or knocked off her spot. She's ready for the contact and might just start dishing it out herself. At this point, we wouldn't be surprised if she starts setting screens that send defenders flying into the third row. It's like she looked at all the cheap fouls and physical play from last season and said, yeah, not this year. Now, she's not just a scoring nightmare, she's a physical problem too. Defenders might have been able to bump her before, but now they might bounce off her instead. So if the plan was to wear her down, well, time to come up with a new strategy.
All right, guys, we're starting a little TikTok weight room vlog. I'm gonna show you what we do.
Get the butt down. Good.
Okay, speed. Okay, speed.
Now, let's address the real question. Will the refs finally do their jobs this season? It's a bold ask. Historically, WNBA officiating has been about as reliable as a vending machine that eats your dollar. But this year, the stakes are too high. The Indiana Fever are not just better, they're a problem. And when Caitlin Clark is in MVP form with Cunningham running security, the league is going to have a tough time ignoring them. So, for the referees, here's some friendly advice. The whistles actually work. They're not just decorative accessories. Try using them, because this time, if Clark gets fouled, there's a good chance she's not just looking at the refs for a call. She's looking at whoever hit her like they just signed up for a personal training session they didn't want. Indiana isn't here to play nice. They've got a championship to win, and absolutely nobody is getting in the way. So, dear referees, consider this your final warning. Either get it together or watch as Clark and the Fever rewrite the rule book on their own terms. Either way, this season is going to be glorious.